Here are some scary facts that you probably didn't know until now. First up, no one is more prepared for the world to end than CNN. Yes, the news station. It has been reported that CNN has a pre-recorded broadcast from the 90s that they will premiere at the end of the world. Like, what do they know that we don't, that they're already prepared for it? Next up, the body cannot tell the difference between either of your eyes. So because of this, it's possible that if one of your eyes gets damaged, your immune system will attack the healthy eye, thus taking away your eyesight. To be honest, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. And lastly, we have the bite of the blue ring octopus. Now, a bite from one of these bad boys is pretty lethal. It's said that their venom can kill more than 20 humans in just a few minutes. Although that's scary in itself, it's very unlikely to happen. But if you are bit by one of these guys and are being administered CPR, it is highly likely that you will feel and know the CPR is happening, but you won't be able to move or respond. Holy fuck.
Oh shit! I just broke the lights. Oh! And whatever this is, this area right here goes downhill. So whatever's staring at us right now is very fucking big. That is not a small animal. Ah!
It was night time, and I was alone at the park. And when I heard giggles, I felt the creeps. When I turned around, my dog was gone. I started calling his name, but there was nothing. So I thought maybe I can check his location, since he has an AirTag in his collar. I remembered I left my phone at home, and now I'm alone in the park. Alone with a stranger. Since those giggles, we're getting closer. I had no other choice but to rush home, which I felt awful about abandoning my dog, but I wasn't about to wander around the park alone. I got home and called my buddies. They were kind enough to drive out to the park at that hour. We found the leash and collar on the ground, but not my dog. Things started getting creepy, and we left. My dog never came back. Until this day, I have hope he would show up.
Scary Reddit Stories Part 72. Warning: don't watch this if you intend to fly within the next month or so. Just a heads up. I was flying home from Jamaica, and I remembered the pilot calling over the loudspeaker. "Alright guys, looks like we have some seriously rough air coming up here, only to be cut off by the jet free falling." Our plane hit an air pocket, and free fell for about 3 seconds. It looked like those videos of astronauts training on planes. People and their food and drinks floated out of their seats. I was sitting by myself, because we bought tickets late, and the girl next to me, about my age, clutched my arm like it was the only thing to keep her anchored to the plane. The masks deployed, and the pilot informed us that the plane hadn't lost pressure, but we're not out of the woods yet. About 10 seconds later we fell again. This time for about 4 seconds, and the lights went out on the plane. My arm had completely lost circulation, because the girl sitting next to me still hadn't let go. I remember looking out the windows, and seeing the wings bow upwards, out of sight. I remember looking at one of the flight attendants strapping herself into a chair. She made the sign of the cross, and bowed her head to pray, which was pretty scary, because it was obviously a big deal. People always say you can tell how serious a situation on a plane is by looking at the flight attendants. This was obviously a serious situation. I remember sitting there, being hit with the sheer helplessness of the situation. Being afraid of dying alone. It was terrible. The girl sitting next to me was looking at me and crying. Looking at me like I had any answers, she asked, "Are we going to be okay?" And all I could do was shrug my shoulders. I don't know why I felt I needed to be brave, maybe so that the last few minutes I had on Earth were meaningful to someone. I remember seeing all the veins in my arm past her hand popping up, suffocating from the lack of blood flow. Her hand was like a tourniquet keeping the fear of death from flowing into my body. A few minutes and drops after that, we seemed to have passed the turbulence, and the girl kept holding my arm. She held my arm for the rest of the flight. Sometimes she'd let up the pressure, but as soon as we felt the slightest bump, it'd be like a tourniquet again. I didn't say anything about it. It was almost like when your little sister gets scared and grabs you. Nothing needed to be said, I guess. We landed and I helped her get her stuff off the plane because she was still shaking. I carried her stuff to baggage claim, got her bags when she pointed at them, and walked her to the exit. I don't think I ever said more than 10 words to the girl, but nothing needed to be said. It was like some weird connection we had, like a family member or something. I still think about that girl and wonder if that event had as profound effect on her life as it did mine.
Save me from the storm inside my bones, the fear of living on my own. I'm all alone. My world's a dying star. Falling for you is bury me.
What is the meanest thing your siblings ever did to you? We used to play a game called Box. My brother would duct tape me into a box and throw me off the roof onto a trampoline. Box was great. When I was about 5 years old, my older sister and I went walking out in the field together in the rain. I then got my boot stuck in deep mud and couldn't move. After unsuccessfully attempting to pull me out, my sister walked home to get help. I waited in the rain for an hour and no one came, so I pulled my feet out of the boots and walked home barefoot. When I got home I found my sister watching TV. She had apparently forgotten about me. My mother never punished me. She would punish my 6 siblings but not me. Periodically they would all start picking on me, tripping me, hiding books that I read, disappearing my completed homework. Just irritating things. The night my mother died, they told me that my mother would tell them that he needs to be taken down a peg or two and turn them loose on me for a while. I was the evil sibling. Things I did included biting myself and saying my brother did it so he would have to go to his room. Threatening my parents with I'll tell him Santa Claus isn't real if I don't get everything I want this year. I slapped myself and left a mark and told my parents my brother did it so he would have to go to his room. I dressed my brother up like a girl on a regular basis. I went a full week pretending I couldn't see him anymore. He cried. Parents of Reddit, what's been the most what the freak moment that you've witnessed with how someone interacts with your child? When my son was around 8 mo's and I was changing him in the bathroom, a woman came out of the stall, strangely surveyed my diaper change practices, then proceeded to tell me how my son has a big schlong before leaving without washing her hands. Our next door neighbor asked if he could babysit me after telling my mom that he wasn't allowed to be alone with his grandkids. My aunt took me and my cousin to an antique shop when I was 9 and my cousin was 7. The shop owner kept saying we were pretty as peaches and ran his thumb over my cousin's mouth. I was so anxious for her but was too scared to say anything. I had my 11-day-old out at a restaurant for my sister's birthday. I was wearing her in a wrap. A woman came up to me, commented about the baby, and tried to lift her out of the wrap saying it's okay, I work at a school. Apparently when I was a baby, a woman came up to me on a train and said hi to me and played with me for a second, then took one of my feet and put it in her mouth. My parents switched carriages after that, thank God.